appealed me. I thought I would share it with you. It's wonderful actually. So when we talk about Vamana Dev, it is impossible to talk about Lord Vamana Dev without talking about Bali Maharaj. Imagine if somebody asks you to talk about Lord Ram, and you have to speak about Lord Ram, but you don't mention about Hanuman. Impossible. Or you are talking about Narsimha Dev. You are talking about Lord Narsimha Dev, but there is no mention of Prahlad. Then probably you are talking about somebody else, isn't it? So if you have to speak about Vamana Dev, there is mention of Bali Maharaj. They are inseparable. Actually, Bhagavatam is so wonderful. It's a reciprocation of the Lord with His devotee in so wonderful ways. It's very inconceivable. Sometimes people like us, we try to go a little deeper into this Bhagavatam and we think we have realized a lot. But actually, it's endless. The glories of the reciprocation of the Lord with His devotees is so powerful and so wonderful. It is so beautifully described in Bhagavatam that any atheistic person, any agnostic person, any person who has been suffering in material world just hears, he'll be transformed for sure. Because Prabhupada's assurance is if somebody reads the first 9 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam, he will understand the science of God and he can convince anyone that God exists in reality. One of the things, while we are talking, there will be many things that I will be sharing, and that's why I am saying pay attention. I know the present challenge that we have is, as per the Microsoft, the survey, our attention span is even less than the goldfish attention span. And if anybody wants to take a guess, what will be our attention span? If you know the answer, don't. If somebody doesn't know and really wants to try, what is our attention span? What do you think? How many of you think it is greater than 5 minutes? Between 5 to 10? Okay, how many of you think it is less than 5 minutes? Okay, how many of you think it is less than 1 minute? So those who are not raising hands, I would think you were thinking it is 1 to 5. How many of you think it is less than 30 seconds? How many of you think it is less than 20 seconds? Okay, 2. How many of you think it is less than 10 seconds? 1. Okay, probably she knows the answer. It's actually 4 seconds. That means every 4 seconds you will go somewhere. Somewhere the mind goes and you have to bring it back. And I have the challenge of explaining 9 chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam, glories of Lord Vamana Dev. I would request, please pay attention. You will be amazed, actually, by this wonderful description of Vamana Dev's appearance. One thing which I want you to pay attention, which is applicable for all of us in our lives, is when we have to take decisions which are very critical, decisions where there are a lot of things at stake. How do we keep our head cool? Because ultimately, all of us in our lives, each one of us, we are confronted with decision making. Often people shy away, they put it on somebody else, they blame different people, circumstances, they don't take the responsibility. But those decisions where a lot of things are at stake, how we can do that? What is the means of taking decisions? That is something which we would try to see from this wonderful episode of Vamana and Bali. Also, one thing which we have to understand is, when we hear the beautiful glorification of the Lord from the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam, it gives us that coolness. The material life is compared to a forest fire, kind of a material existence. But hearing Bhagavatam, chanting the names of the Lord, makes us pacified, makes us cool, makes us calm. And that calmness helps us to take very critical decisions. If somebody wants to or aspires to become a leader, wants to be in a leadership position, that means he has to take a lot of decisions. That means he is going to face the fire of those decisions, because the consequences are sometimes very, very huge. That's why people shy away from taking decisions. But if you really want to be in that position, sometimes we don't have a choice, right? We cry out, we don't know what to do. And if such circumstances or situations come to make some decisions which are very difficult, that time having a cool head helps. So that is something which we will be talking throughout the discussions. Let me start, how does this begin? Because we will go a little quickly, I have to go a little faster, bear with me. How does this chapter of, how does Vamanadev's description comes in Srimad Bhagavatam? Very interestingly, Maharaj Parikshit asked this question that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the proprietor of everything. Why did he beg 3 paces of land from Bali Maharaj like a poor man? And when he got the gift from which he had begged, why did he nonetheless arrest Bali Maharaj? I am very much anxious to know the mystery of these contradictions. It's a very interesting question. You see, Parikshit is asking that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is first of all appearing as a beggar. And he is asking for 3 paces of land from Bali Maharaj like a poor man. First of all, he is the Supreme Lord. Then he is going like a poor Brahmana. And he is asking for 3 paces of land. And it is not that Bali Maharaj did not give him. He gave. He got that gift. After having gotten the gift, he arrested him. Man, this is really bewildering. What's going on? It is not that Parikshit Maharaj didn't know this. Parikshit Maharaj had heard this. He was aware of it. But still he was eager to hear again and again. The supreme absolute truth, the spiritual truth, the moment we hear, the more we hear, there is something newness about them. There is something which is fresh. Nava navaya mana. There's always freshness in that. Even if you have read, you have heard about this pastime of Bali Maharaj and Vamana, it is fresh. And Parikshit is very eager. So mind you, this is 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. That means already some 2-3 days have passed. And still Parikshit is very eager to hear this, even if he has heard. So this is the beginning, this is the question which is asked by Parikshit at the beginning of the 15th chapter. And Sukadeva Goswami begins to answer. O king, when Bali Maharaj lost all his opulence and died in the fight, Sukracharya, a descendant of Bhrigu, brought him back to life. Because of this, the great soul Bali Maharaj became a disciple of Sukracharya and began to serve him with great faith, offering everything he had. So this Daityas and the Devatas, the Asuras and the Devatas, there is always fight which is going on between them. They keep fighting. For some reason or other they fight. And in one of those fights, Bali Maharaj died. He was killed. And Sukracharya, by his mystic power, by his yogic power, he could bring back life to Bali Maharaj by chanting this Mahasanjivani mantra. And he was brought back to life. And then he advised him. So of course, imagine you are dead and you are brought back to life. How much indebted you will be, your whole life, you owe it to that person who has brought you back. So Bali Maharaj accepted Sukracharya as his master and then followed all the instructions which Sukracharya gave. Served him with great faith, offering everything he had. The Brahmana descendants of Bhrigu, that is Sukracharya, were very pleased with Bali Maharaj, who desired to conquer the kingdom of Indra. Therefore, after purifying him and properly bathing him according to regulative principles, they engaged him in performing the yajna known as Viswajit. Viswajit is to conquer the Viswa, or to conquer the universe. So the descendants of Bhrigu, that is all the associates of Sukracharya, they were very pleased with Bali Maharaj because he was serving very nicely Sukracharya. Seeing that service attitude, they were very pleased and they offered him something called Viswajit Yajna, how to perform that. Interestingly, when he performed this Viswajit Yajna, just here this font is a little small, I would like to apologize for that. So when the sacrifice was performed, there appeared from the fire a celestial chariot covered with gold and silk. There also appeared yellow horses like those of Indra and a flag marked with lion, a glided bow, 2 quivers of infallible arrows, and celestial armor also appeared. Bali Maharaj's grandfather, who is Bali Maharaj's grandfather? It's written here, Prahlad Maharaj. The lineage of Bali is very, very interesting, very famous. Brahma, his son is, you have to pay attention towards the end, some questions may come. Brahma, his son is Maricha. Maricha's son is Kashyap. Kashyap's son is Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu's son is Prahlad. Prahlad's son is Virochan. Virochan's son is Bali Maharaj. Anybody wants to try? Immediately, 4 seconds is not gone. Go for it.
Brahma, Marichi, Kashyapa, then Hiranyakashipu, then Prahlad Maharaj, Virochana and Bali Maharaj.
Great. Can we have a round of applause?
Yeah.
So even for devotees to repeat is not easy. So pay attention. It's a very interesting thing. Who all are there and what kind of people there? Sometimes Hiranyakashipu is appearing, sometimes Virochana is there, Prahlad is there, Brahma is there. That is the lineage of Bali Maharaj. So Bali Maharaj, after this sacrifice, he got this beautiful chariot. He sat on that with beautiful dress, with 2 quivers of arrows, and the flag is marked like lion. And it is mentioned that when he went, straight away he went to the Indra's heaven, and he wanted to conquer over Indra. He was appearing fiery like effulgent, very bright, very effulgent. Getting on the chariot given by Sukracharya, Bali Maharaj decorated with nice garland. There was a garland which was given by Prahlad Maharaj, which will never fade. Put protective armor on his body, equipped with a bow, and took up a sword and quiver of arrows. When he sat down on the seat of the chariot, his arms decorated with golden bangles and his ears with sapphire earrings is shone like a worshipable fire. And when he assembled with his own soldiers and the demon chiefs, who were equal to him in strength, opulence and beauty, they appeared as if they would swallow the sky and burn all directions with their vision. If he just looks at one side, it was appearing as if he will burn that side. After thus gathering the demoniac soldiers, Bali Maharaj departed for the opulent capital of Indra. Indeed, he seemed to make the entire surface of the world tremble. When such things happened, Indra went for help. So he went to his guru, Brihaspati, saying that, what should I do? So Brihaspati said, the time is not favoring you. This is not the right time to fight with Bali. He is empowered because he has worshipped Sukracharya nicely. He is serving, he is following all the instructions of the Brahmanas. That is why now he is invincible. It is better if you leave the heaven from the back doors. So without any ado, without making a lot of fuss, all the demigods immediately they left from the back doors. So Bali Maharaj came and he found there was nobody in the kingdom of heaven. Nobody. So he started ruling from the throne of Indra. Imagine the power of serving Brahmanas or Vaishnavas. This is called the power of empowerment. If you remember, if you see, when Srila Prabhupada came to this country, which we celebrated a few days back, the journey that transformed the whole world, when Prabhupada arrived here in 1965, September 17th, on that historic day when Prabhupada arrived. Externally, if you look at him, he looks very frail, old, didn't have enough money, had just 40 rupees in hand, was carrying some trunk full of books, and he arrived in a cargo ship. But internally, just because he has prayed to Advaita Acharya's house, he went to his Guru's Samadhi and prayed there, cried, took the mercy of all the Vaishnavas, he was empowered. When he arrived, though externally his skin was weak, fragile, he was not able to walk, he had an umbrella, carrying one trunk of books. He arrived on this soil, but when he spoke, whether it is hippies or the reporters, whoever it is, it as if it shattered the layers of ignorance. The kind of clarity, the kind of conviction. When somebody is empowered, we can see Krishna Sakti Vina Nahitara Pravartana. Anybody can imitate Prabhupada and can start talking in the manner in which Prabhupada spoke, but it will not have the same impact because the purity is what matters. And the purity comes by the blessings of the Brahmanas, by the blessings of Vaishnavas. When somebody gets that blessing, he becomes unstoppable, unstoppable. Nobody can stop him. That power, the power of purity. So important thing in our life is we should, any opportunity to serve Vaishnavas, to serve Brahmanas, we should serve without any inhibition, without any reservation. Okay. Interestingly, when this is happening, so the demigods have, disappeared from the heaven, they have all gone back. And Bali Maharaj is ruling, and all this, associates of Sukracharya, they told that you just can't sit on this throne. One thing is to conquer over the heaven, but to continue to rule over here, you need to do sacrifices. So, Bali Maharaj started doing a lot of sacrifices, 100 sacrifices, 100 Ashwamedha Yajnas he performed. So he was becoming more and more powerful by doing sacrifices. Sacrifices Unfortunately, in this modern world, people think these are all some primitive, old culture. We're not supposed to follow this. This sacrifice has so much of power. Sacrifice is not just meant for, some putting some ghee in some fire. No, the word sacrifice is very beautiful. It's called yajna. Yajna vaisa Krishna. Krishna and yajna are non-different. Yajnarthat karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. This is what Bhagavad Gita's instruction. We should do work as sacrifice. And another day probably we will talk about sacrifice. Wonderful concept to understand. When we live our life as a sacrifice, when we do activities as a sacrifice, every single blessings that we need will come in our way. But very interestingly, Bali Maharaj was busy doing all those sacrifices. There is one person who was extremely morose, extremely sad. Any guess? Who was sad when Bali Maharaj is, not Indra, not the demigods, apart from them, who else was sad in the material world, in planet Earth? That's why 4 seconds now, and I have to keep asking sometimes questions. For me, Prabhu, I've only 8 questions. We spoke about Vamana Dev's father and mother, isn't it? Did we? Okay. Who was Vamana Dev's father? Who was mother? Aditi or Aditi? Really? That is there. Aditi, who's Aditi? I don't know. I'm just asking who's Vamana Dev's mother? Interestingly, this Kashyapa Muni is a very important person you should never forget. Has 2 wives. One is Diti, one is Aditi. The son of Diti are all Daityas. That is all the demons. Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha and all of those. Son of Aditi are all demigods, devatas. One father, one side he is demigods, one side he is demons. Look at the plight, he is there. So now when Bali Maharaj and the demons are ruling in the heaven, everybody is happy except for one person, Aditi, the mother of all the demigods. She is extremely morose, sad, she is lamenting. So Kashyap Muni had gone for a meditation. He was doing some kind of sadhana, some severe austerities, he was doing something and he came back. When he just came back to the ashram, he saw that the whole ashram, as if there is something very big, inauspicious thing which has happened, some big devastation or something. So he inquires, what happened? Were there some guests who came whom you didn't welcome properly? Was there something inauspicious that you did when I was not there? Could you not finish your daily rituals that you were supposed to do? Why are you so morose? And as Mother Aditi, she said, my sons, they are bereft of all their opulence, they are bereft of all their charm, they are bereft of all their power. How can I be happy? How can I possibly be happy? And that portion, actually, the beauty of this story does not lie in knowing the details as much as it lies in knowing the conversation which happens. The details beautifully explained, actually, Bhagavatam, and so wonderful purport. Kashyap Muni thinks to himself, look at the plight, look at the situation of my wife, how much she is attached to her own sons. This attachment is so strong when it comes to our own relatives, when it comes to our extension of our family members. Janasya moha aham mameti. Just because they are my children, just because she is my mother, attachment becomes so strong that leads to grief. And this beautiful conversation, so Kashyap Muni is trying to tell her that, actually we are all spirit souls and we have got nothing to do with this material body. But no matter how much she is trying to convince her, Aditi is not convinced. She is still morose, she is still lamenting, and she is still having those grievances. And when this is going on, and Kashyap Muni sees that this is not going to penetrate, her mind, at that time he talks about something very, very interesting. And that interesting thing is called Payovrata. What is it called? Payovrata. It is not appearing, it will appear because you are reading and telling. So it is called Payovrata. The word Payo, anybody wants to guess what is it? Paya is milk. Paya is called milk. Payo vrata. So a vrata where somebody takes a vow to drink only milk. And it is only for 12 days. And the result is guaranteed. 13th day you will see Lord. So imagine if we put an advertisement, somewhere announcement, 12 days to see the Lord. It works, by the way. I don't know, now we have got some 1 dozen or 20, 25 people. If I put that, probably some more people will come, but I don't know. In Kali Yuga, you just can't rely. People are not interested in seeing God. But this is a guaranteed thing. And since he was so morose, Aditi, Kashyapa told, I am going to share you something by which the Lord will appear. And not just the Lord will appear on 13th day, he will fulfill all your desires. Whatever desires you have, it will get fulfilled. Aditi said, then tell me, I am all yours, I am listening. What is it that I have to do? So Kashyap Muni shares. And very interestingly, I was also, when I read this, I have told this many times, I was also very curious. 12 days I can see the Lord, let us try. And I was thinking maybe some people would have definitely tried. What is it that we should do so that 12 days, after 12 days on the 13th day, we can see the Lord? But very interestingly, that is why I am saying, this whole pastime, when we see through the eyes of the scriptures, when we see through the eyes of our acharyas, it becomes even more interesting. Actually, we don't need to even practice what Payavrata. I'll tell you what Payavrata is, but Prabhupada, in his beautiful purport, explains that how we can get the same benefit of practicing Payavrata, what was done by Aditi, by all of us in this Kali Yuga. Listen to this. The Krishna consciousness movement is also Vishnu Aradhana, or worship of Lord Vishnu. Though in our altar it is Radha and Krishna, Radha Damodar, but actually the worship is Lakshmi and Narayana, Lakshmi and Vishnu. Because this is not, this is still Vidhi Marga. We are following rules and regulations. There are standard times when the worship has to happen, offering has to happen. We can't compromise on those. So the Krishna consciousness movement is also Vishnu Aradhana, or worship of Lord Vishnu, according to the age. The Payovrata method of Vishnu Aradhana was enunciated long ago by Kashyapa Muni to his wife Aditi in the heavenly planets. And the same process is bona fide on earth even now, especially for this age of Kali. The process accepted by the Krishna consciousness movement is to open hundreds and thousands of Vishnu temples, temples of Radha Krishna, Jagannath, Balaram, Sitaram, Gaur Nitai, and so on, performing prescribed worship in such temples of Vishnu, and thus worshipping the Lord is as good as performing the Payovrata ceremony recommended here. The Payovrata ceremony is performed from the 1st to the 13th day of the bright fortnight of the moon, but in our Krishna consciousness movement, Lord Vishnu is worshipped in every temple according to a schedule of 24 hours of engagement in performing Kirtan, chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, offering palatable food to Lord Vishnu, and distributing this food to Vaishnavas and others. These are authorized activities. And if the members of the Krishna consciousness movement stick to these principles, they will achieve the same result one gains by observing the Payovrata ceremony. Thus, the essence of all auspicious activities, such as performing yajna, giving in charity, observing vratas, and undergoing austerities, is included in the Krishna consciousness movement. The members of this movement should immediately and sincerely follow the process already recommended. Very powerful thing. Actually, Prabhupada, see, the essence has to be taken. Whatever is shared. It is not that Payovrata principle will not work. What the Acharya does is, based on the time, place, circumstances, they include that in our day-to-day schedule in such a way that we can get the same benefit. Payovrata ceremony is performed from the 1st to the 13th day of the bright fortnight of the moon. But in our Krishna, and then actually on 13th day there is some distribution of prasadam which happens. And bang on, like when she did this, Aditi, she could see the Lord after 12 days. She performed this Payovrata. As given, there are strict rules when to sleep, what to do, how to do, only milk, 12 days. But she did it. And at the end of 12 days, on 13th day, you have to distribute some prasadam, the Lord appeared. And when the Lord appeared in front of Aditi, Aditi was awestruck. She was speechless. She didn't know what to say, what to ask. Before she could say anything, the Lord said that, I already know why you have done this austerity, why you are worshipping me, I know that. But right now, what you have to do is you have to go back. I'll appear at an opportune time, at the right time I'll appear, and that right time is actually today's day. Now you go back to your ashram and serve your husband, Kashyapa Muni, like you are serving me. There are all very powerful principles in in the Vedic scriptures, serving a husband who's a devotee is considered very, very auspicious, very important for a wife. So when somebody does that, helps or engages in service of a devoted husband, a husband who's devotee, receives a lot of blessings. So the Lord says, and then Aditi goes back, and in due course of time, the Lord appeared in the heart of Kashyapa Muni. And from the Kashyapa Muni's heart, he got transferred to the womb of Aditi, and then finally he took birth. But before he took birth, like it happened in the case of Krishna's birth, there were demigods. Brahma comes and offers wonderful prayers. These are all details, but in those details lies the beauty. Actually, so wonderful prayers by Brahma, the creator himself. He also saw that, now Aditi has become very bright and effulgent, and he comes and offers these wonderful prayers. But unlike some of the pastimes, like Krishna's pastimes, the childhood pastime took a long time, 10, 12 years in Mathura and Vrindavan. Then Krishna started killing, and of course Krishna was killing when he was a child. But there were a lot of sweet exchanges with his cowherd boys, cows, gopis, Mother Yashoda, Nanda, and all those things. Some incarnation of the Lord, there is no childhood pastimes. For example, Narasimhadev appeared. Have you heard of Narasimhadev? Small Narasimha playing with the parents and all, and then his mother chastising Narasimhadev. That doesn't happen. Comes straight from the pillar, does his action. Lord Ram, of course, Lord Ram had some time, something he did. But here in this case, when the Lord appeared, straight into action. There is nothing like, he appeared in 400 form. He appeared as a dwarf Brahmana, very beautiful. We might have seen some dwarfs, maybe in some circus or something. They don't appear so beautiful. They appear some ugly. The face is, having some kind of deformity and all. But the Lord, when he appears perfect, beautiful. And when he appeared, since there were so many demigods who were praying, and all of a sudden the Lord appeared, and there were many demigods who wanted to give something. So it is mentioned who all gave what. So when the great sages saw the Lord as the brahmachari dwarf Brahmana, they were certainly very pleased. Thus they placed before them Kashyapa Muni, the Prajapati, and performed all the ritualistic ceremonies such as birthday ceremony. So the birthday ceremony, the Upanayana, everything happened on the same day. At the sacred thread ceremony of Vamana Dev, the sun god personally uttered the Gayatri mantra. Brihaspati offered the sacred thread, Kashyapa Muni offered a straw bed, Mother Earth gave him a deer skin, and the demigods of the moon, who is the king of the forest, gave him Brahma Danda. His mother Aditi gave him a cloth for underwear, and the deity presiding over the heavenly kingdom offered him an umbrella. O King, Lord Brahma offered a water pot to the inexhaustible Supreme Personality of Godhead. The 7 sages offered him kusha grass, and Mother Saraswati gave him string of Rudraksha beads. When Vamanadev had thus been given the sacred thread, Kubera, king of the Yakshas, gave him a pot for begging alms, and Mother Bhagavati, the wife of Lord Shiva, and most chaste mother of the entire universe, gave him his first alms. Having thus been welcomed by everyone, Lord Vamanadev, the best of the brahmacharis, exhibited his Brahman effulgence. Thus he surpassed in beauty that entire assembly which was filled with great saintly Brahmins. So immediately he got all these things and straight away walked into the arena of sacrifice where Bali Maharaj was performing this sacrifice. It was surrounded by all the Brahmanas who were coming in the dynasty of question. Thanks for the question and expected if you will answer. Vishwajit Yajna was done to win over the heavenly kingdom. But who were the Brahmanas? They were descendants of which Rishi? Sukracharya is a descendant of Bhrigu. Okay, good. So imagine, there is a sacrifice which is going on. Vamanadev is walking in. So it is not like, when we have a sacrifice, barely you will find 3 devotees sitting, 4 devotees, and few people will be there around that. It's not like that. This was a sacrifice where Bali Maharaj is the putra, or he's the host, and there were so many Brahmanas. They were all chanting mantras. And in that arena walks in a small dwarf Brahmana. That is Vamana. But the effulgence of Vamana is so much, it's dazzlingly bright, brilliant. He enters into that, everybody there, they stand up, they get up, they have no idea, they just couldn't see who is this person, so bright and effulgent, they all stood up. And very interestingly, when they all stood up, first thing what Bali Maharaj does, very interestingly is given. When the Lord heard that Bali Maharaj was performing Ashwamedha sacrifices under the patronage of Brahmanas belonging to the Bhrigu dynasty, the Supreme Lord, who is full in every respect, proceeded there to show his mercy to Bali Maharaj. By his weight, he pushed down the earth with every step. While engaged in performing the sacrifice on the field known as Bhrigu Kacha, on the northern bank of Narmada River, the Brahminical priests, the descendants of Bhrigu, saw Vamana to be like the sun rising nearby. Bhrigu Kacha is actually the place in Gujarat. It's in the northern portion of Narmada River where this fire sacrifice was being performed. And Vamana walked in like the sun rising nearby. And everybody stood up. Here comes the beauty of Bhagavatam. How wonderful this thing happens. So the Lord walked in, and the first thing that Bali Maharaj does, seeing this bright, effulgent Brahmana, he comes and he washes his feet. Not only washed his feet, he took that water and sprinkled on his head. So at that time, Prabhupada writes in the purport, like Lord Shiva, who's carrying Ganges. What is the name of Lord Shiva carrying Ganges on his head? Gangadhar. Who said Gangadhar? Oh, that's the right answer. Gangadhar. Because Lord Shiva is carrying Ganga on his head, his name is Gangadhar. And this Ganges is coming from the toes of Lord Vishnu. We will hear that now. How that water is coming. Since it has touched the lotus feet of Krishna or Vishnu, it has become purified. And Lord Shiva, the great Vaishnava, carries that water because it is always pure. Ganges is actually an incarnation of the Lord in terms of river, which is all pure. So knowing that, of course, Bali Maharaj didn't know that Vamana is Vishnu, but he saw it is so bright, so effulgent, and it's a Brahmana who's having so much of effulgence, spiritual effulgence. He put that water on his head, and Prabhupada writes, this is the sign of Bali becoming a Mahajan. Lord Shiva himself is a Mahajan, so he's following in his footsteps. This is the sign of becoming a Mahajan. So very interestingly, now this Bali Maharaj has washed his feet and has put that water on his head, and now he is asking Vamana Dev, ask. Now I can see that you have come here to ask something. Ask anything. He gives him an option. You can ask a planet. You can ask a beautiful lady to get married. You can ask gold. You can ask anything that you want. Ask whatever you want so that you should not regret. I want to give you a benediction after which you would never have to beg for the rest of your life. So ask, think properly and ask. And what did Vamana Dev ask? 3 steps of land measured not by your feet but by my feet. Bali has actually big feet. It is mentioned somewhere. I've read that there is one Hiranyakashipu's one earring was there. Where is it? I'm not able to recollect. There's a mention somewhere in the scriptures. Hiranyakashipu's earring was there when Ravana wanted to. He was ruling at that time. He saw it was a huge earring. So those people were really big and gigantic. So he said, not by your measurement, but I just want 3 feet of land by my own feet. Imagine you have the great fortune of meeting somebody like Jeff Bezos, or I don't know, maybe this Tesla guy, what is his name? Elon Musk, or somebody like Bill Gates or something. And he's sitting with open arm and very charitably disposed, and he's waiting for you to ask anything. You can ask, so whatever the latest model of Tesla, anything that you want, I'm ready to give you. Flat here, there, something, whatever you want, private jet, I'm ready to give. And you, with due deliberation and contemplation, not like immediately, with due deliberation and contemplation, you say, 10 cents can I get? Then that person, Elon Musk or even Bill Gates or whoever it is, will think, my position to dekh ke manga karne hai. Who am I? You are asking me for 10 cents? Bali Maharaj is the king, is the conqueror and the possessor of all 3 planetary systems. And Vamana, a small dwarf, is asking for 3 paces of land, three steps of land. So Bali Maharaj told, even though you are bright, effulgent, and you are spiritually very advanced, but you are materially very dull. You don't know what to ask, you have asked for 3 paces of land. Then what answer Vamana gives is a very powerful message. That's why we have to meditate on this message. He says, Yadrocho pannena santushta vartate sukham na santushta stribhir loke ajitamo pasaditahe. Yadrocho pannena santushta vartate sukham. If somebody is not satisfied by his mind and senses, ajitatmo saditahe. If somebody is not satisfied within in his mind and senses, even if he has got the powers and the position of 3 planetary systems, he will never be satisfied. Sometimes people, they have so many things, but yet they are not satisfied with it. The reason being their mind and senses are not satisfied. If the mind and senses are not satisfied, irrespective of how much of wealth, how much of possessions, how much of power, how much of designations, you still will not be satisfied. Very powerful message. One should be satisfied with whatever he achieves by his previous destiny, for discontent can never bring happiness. A person who is not self-controlled will not be happy even with possessing the 3 worlds. Very interestingly, elsewhere in Bhagavatam, there is a verse which comes, which says, I didn't want this to be fully disclosed, but it has been disclosed. Anyway, let us go ahead with this. This is a verse which says how different things can be purified. How different things purified means can be brought back to their original position. Pay attention. Everything has a way of cleaning, or there is a way of bringing back to their original position. Purified means if something is there in its original position, that means there is no contamination. So this verse says, Kalena snana sauchabhyam samskarais tapasya yujyaya sudhyanti dhanani santushtya dravyani atmatma vidyaya. Kalena snana sauchabhyam. There are some things which get cleansed by kala, by the course of time. For example, after a long time I went to India, and that too I went to Mumbai after a long time. And I saw that there were things which have changed, but there was one thing which has still not changed, which is still the same. And that is, if you go in the early morning to, probably this is true in many parts of India, I'm just giving the example of Mumbai, to some local railway station, right? In the early morning time, you will find that place is used for something else, isn't it? All who can guess? Some of you are closing your eyes, guessing it rightly. Some of you who don't want to, still are not able to figure it out. People use it for? For what? For nature's call, for passing stool. Actually they use it like, it's you may, if somebody who's from the US may find it very difficult to believe, but that's very normal for us. We know it's okay. So they also continue their business. We also continue looking at other side. But it's a whole scale. It happens. But in due course of time, as passage of time, with sunshine, with water and everything, that gets cleansed. Kalena. But there are some things. Let's say there is some dust on this, and I can take some, or there is some oil or something which is stuck. I will bring some detergent, I'll put it with some scrubber, I'll clean it, it will get cleansed. But can I use some detergent and scrubber to scrub my teeth and make it clean? No, for that a toothpaste is required. Or can I use that toothpaste for cleaning my head, for my taking bath? Earlier days when I was a child, I was not aware about shampoo and conditioner. I used to think that one soap that is for everywhere. So I used to put it and take bath. But then I realized, shampoo is there, conditioner is there. Kalena snana sauchabhyam. Snana. So our body which gets impure, which gets contaminated, can be brought back to its original position by snana, not by putting deodorants. Snana sauchabhyam. Samskarais tapasa ijjaya. Samskarais. Our birth can be purified by samskara. Janmana jayate sudra. Samskara bhavit vijaha. So Janmana jayate sudras. We are all born ignorant. We are all born without any knowledge, without any spiritual insight. But samskara, by purificatory process, birth can be purified. Tapasa ijjaya. Tapasa is by austerity. By austerity, we can purify our senses. Senses which want enjoyment, indulgence. can be purified by tapasa, by austerity. Ijjaya, a material thing, can be purified by using it in Krishna's service, by engaging it in worshipping. Ijjaya. Sudhyanti dane. What about money? Somebody may say, I'll get it from Federal Bank of India or from some Bank of America, crisp, very nice notes. That's clear, right? I have not used it. Hands are all sanitized, and I am carrying that, so no contamination. No. Sudhyanti dane. Wealth gets purified by doing charity. And why I brought this issue is, why I brought this verse is Santushtya Dravyani. Santushtya is by satisfaction the mind gets purified, by satisfaction. The only way the mind can be purified is by satisfaction. If the mind and senses are not satisfied, irrespective of how much of wealth, position we have, we will never be satisfied. And last one is Atma Vidyaya. Atma, our soul gets purified by our Atma Vidya, by the self-realization, by the knowledge of our own self. Atma Vidyaya, Atma. That's how it gets purified. So, having spoken about having heard having heard Vamana saying that I want 3 bays of land, suddenly Sukracharya explodes there. Hey, you fool Bali, what are you doing? You don't know this is Vishnu in disguise. Don't fall for his words. He is come in disguise to take everything from you. Never ever do this. You will lose everything that you have gotten. And very interestingly, Prabhupada talks about these 3 things in the purport, one of the purports. There are 3 nittis, and you should remember. As I say, I'm giving you a lot of information, and we will definitely have at least 5 minutes question answer. So there are 3 nittis. One is Brihaspati Niti, Kanika Niti, and Shukra Niti. Anybody wants to guess what is Brihaspati Niti? Or anybody knows this? Okay, I'll not put you in too much of suspense. Brihaspati Niti, where the end and the means both are good. Like the classic example of this is Yudhishthira Maharaj, where he says, like probably in the movies we see somebody is asked to keep his hands. Bhagavad Gita ke upar kasam kha ke kehta hu, jo bolunga sach bolunga, sat ke siva kuch nahi bolunga. Something like that. I'll speak only truth, except for the truth I'll not speak anything else. Brihaspati Niti, where you want the end is also good, the means is also good. Kanika Niti is something where I don't care what is the end. At any cost I would like to do it. Means has to be it has to be the same. The means I can compromise. I'll not follow any unethical means. I will do whatever I want. That is Kanika. Example of this is like this Kauravas wanting Draupadi at any cost. Whatever it is, doesn't matter whether she is somebody's wife, we want it. And the means, they can use anything. But there is something which is called Sukraniti. Sukraniti is something which the Lord uses, and this is what what is his name? Sukracharya is using here, telling Bali Maharaj not to do this. That is why this is called Sukraniti. Anybody wants to guess what could be Sukraniti? What is Brihaspati Niti? Badri. End is right and the means is also right. What is Kanika Niti? No. End also doesn't. End is right means what? They want Draupadi, right? End is also not right. Whatever I like, I want it at any cost. Doesn't matter whether it is right or wrong. Means also it doesn't matter. Sukraniti, the end is good, but the means I can twist, I can change based on the other person. For example, like suppose you are, I'm honest and I'm trying to be good with you, but you want to take advantage of me. Then I will also change my method. For example, crude example, suppose you are coming and slapping me. And then if I want to slap, you say, no, you can't slap. No, you are wearing tilak and all, you are kantimala, you are a bhakta, how can you? I can go on slapping. No, that will not work. I'll also give you back, slap. So this is what Sukracharya is telling here. Sukracharya is telling that if Bali Maharaj is trying to cheat you, he has come as a dwarf taking 3 pieces of land. you should not fall for it. You should also come out of this promise. You don't have to keep these words. So there's a classic example of this, which is also called Ahir Mushika Nyaya. There was a basket, and in that basket, what was that? There was a basket. Where was that basket? There was a basket somewhere, and in that basket there came a snake and a rat. They are friends, right? They always play together, isn't it? Snake and a rat can never be friends, isn't it? Snake, takes the rat for its eating. So snake and rat, they came together underneath a basket, and when they were stuck in that kind of a position, the snake spoke to the rat, saying that, why don't you dig a hole so that you come out of it, and then I'll also follow and I'll not eat you, I'll spare you. So the rat thought, okay, this sounds like a good idea. So he digged a small hole and he came out of it. And when he came out of that, before he is about to escape, the snake first killed him, ate him, and then snake escaped. This is called Ahimushika Nyaya. Did you follow it? So Sukraniti is something like that. For my advantage, I can take some unethical means, but the end is for my good. But the end is actually good, which is what is followed by Krishna in most of the cases. Did you get it? No. Yes. What? Who was sitting there next to the wall? What do you think? Very nice, comfortable clothes. Did it go?
Yeah, it's like whatever that you feel it is good for you, you can go and.
That is Kanikaniti. Sukraniti is in between. First is good means good end. The second one is, bad means bad end also. But the third one is good end, but the means could be good or bad depending upon the person who is there. So, but when this thing happened, actually when when Sukracharya told Vamana Dev not to do this, not to fall for this words of Vamana Dev. Interestingly, after that, what happened was there's a very beautiful time. Actually, this is a lot of distraction. What happened was Vamana Dev, when he spoke like this, Bali Maharaj became silent. He became meditative. Tusnim Babuba. It's a very powerful thing. Now imagine, this is what is the essence of Bhagavatam which we are trying to read. Of course, with all our limitations, my limitations in speaking and explaining, your limitation in hearing and sitting and not getting distracted. This is the beauty of Bhagavatam. Tushnim Babuba. Actually, Bali Maharaj became silent. On one side, he has got the instruction of his spiritual master who has given him life, who has brought him to this position, whose instruction he has been following. He is telling, don't fall for this. This is actually a dwarf who is actually in disguise of Vishnu. Don't fall for it. ऐसा भी क्या charity करना कि after that charity will be nobody. I mean, imagine, you go for, you are coming out of some auto wala and there is a beggar and you remove all your wallet, everything you give him, and after that, you have to go to your house, then you go and beg him, can you give me $10, I have to go back home. What kind of charity is that? Don't do that. He is going to take away everything. Don't fall for him. So on one side, there is the instruction of his spiritual master who has given him everything. He has given him his kingdom, he has given him his power, he has given him his position, he has given him his life, and because of him he is, whatever he is. And on the other side, he has given his words to the Supreme Lord. Actually, it's a very difficult test, very, very difficult test. So he became silent. It's not easy to decide something like that. But he decided that I will give, whatever words I have given, I'll follow, I'll keep that words. Whatever words I have given, that vow that I have taken, I'll follow that, I'll keep that. Very interestingly, he thinks that the Mother Earth is already overburdened by the lies of so many people. Let me not add to the burden of Mother Earth. Let me be truthful and follow my words. And as it happened, when Bali Maharaj says Vamana Dev that I'm ready. So in 2 steps, on one step he took the entire lower planetary systems, and in the second step he took all the upper planetary systems. He expanded himself. And then he came and he said that you failed Bali because there is no space, there is no place to keep my third step. So Bali Maharaj surrenders there. And before Bali Maharaj surrenders, actually all the demoniac people, the demoniac soldiers of Bali who were present, they immediately started attacking Vamana Dev, thinking that this is small dwarf, what is he trying to do? He's trying to cheat us. So they immediately tried to attack. And at that point in time, there were a lot of Vishnudutas. They just killed them just like that. Bali Maharaj was telling, don't do. This is not the right time. This you should not do. But they all got killed. And then Garuda Dev actually binds Bali Maharaj like a slave, like in this position, and Bali Maharaj is put before Vamana Dev. Very interestingly, why the Lord is doing all these things? I mean, Bali is doing everything possible. And I didn't tell one thing. Actually, Sukracharya, when he saw that Bali is not going to listen to him, he cursed him that you will go to, you will lose everything, first curse, and the second one, you will go to hell. Despite all that, Bali Maharaj did. And this is the beautiful verse where the Lord speaks. Although bereft of his riches, fallen from his original position, defeated and arrested by his enemies, rebuked and deserted by his relatives and friends, although suffering the pain of being bound, and although rebuked and cursed by his spiritual master, Bali Maharaj, being fixed in his vow, did not give up his truthfulness. It was certainly with pretension that I spoke about religious principles, but he did not give up religious principles, for he is true to his word. Imagine if in your life you have to choose one side, you have got that one goal, that one ambition, that I want to become the conqueror of the whole universe, and you've gotten it by the help of someone. And that someone who has helped you, who has revived your life, is telling you not to do. This is not what you are supposed to do. And on the other side, you have the Supreme Lord who's taking away everything, and you have to choose that over him. Very difficult thing, very, very difficult situation. That is why Bali Maharaj is considered a Mahajan. Of course, the Lord came here, like I was talking about, to take a decision. This kind of a decision, it cannot be taken by ordinary people. Sometimes, some people like us, we come and stand before the Lord and we say that we have our own limitations in overcoming some of the anarthas. I'm not able to do it myself. Oh Lord, please help me overcome. But when actually the Lord does the cleansing, it's a very painful thing, very difficult thing, like it happened in the case of Bali. He will take away everything, and when the moment he starts doing, we may again come back and say that, probably we don't want it. Enough, oh Lord. Because we are not in that position like Bali or Prahlad. They are all pure devotees. So interestingly, Bali Maharaj passes this test, and the Lord becomes extremely pleased. Of course, he goes to Sutala planet, which is in the hellish planet. But that hellish planet is also done by Vishwakarma. It is equally good. It is much better than even the heavenly planets. And the Lord decides to become a doorkeeper, seeing his determination, seeing his devotion, seeing his truthfulness. The last thing to conclude here in this pastime was Sukracharya, because everything, all other accounts got settled. But Sukracharya, who left the arena, he cursed Bali and he left. Seeing all this, the different events which have manifested, Sukracharya comes back and speaks this verse, very beautiful verse. He says that there is a transformation that happens inside Sukracharya, and this verse we recite after every yajna. It is called Mantratas Tantratas Chidram Deshakalarha Vastutah Sarvam Karote Nischidram Anusankirtanam Tava. What that means is, there may be discrepancies in pronouncing the mantras and observing the regulative principles, and moreover there may be discrepancies in regard to time, place, person and paraphernalia. But when your Lordship's holy name is chanted, everything becomes faultless. That's why we chant the names of the Lord. Apart from doing so many other things, Brahma, when he saw that the Lord is there in the womb of Aditi, he chanted the names of the Lord. Chanting the names of the Lord makes everything perfect. Even though we may not know all the rituals, we may not know all the rites, we may not be pronouncing all the mantras perfectly, but just by chanting the names of the Lord, everything becomes faultless. So, we have 3 minutes. I have just one question for you. Why does the Lord put these devotees into so many difficulties? And then we will have 5 minutes quiz and question answer. First, this one. What do you think? Why does the Lord put His devotees in so much of difficulties? You see Prahlad Maharaj, you see Pandavas, you see Bali Maharaj. So many difficulties. Why only to the devotees? These तरफ भी देख सकते हैं. कोई आंसर देने के लिए हाँ. Question आने से उस तरफ बाकी टाइम भी. Okay, what do you think? What is the answer? Why only to devotees? Okay. Anything else?
To fully prepare the consciousness.
To fully prepare the consciousness.
To take the right decisions.
To take the right decisions.
Purify.
Who's it purify? You say? Okay. To remember Him always.
To glorify them.
Huh?
To glorify them.
Glorify. Actually, the right answer is purify and glorify. To purify the devotees and to glorify the devotees. When the tests come, that is when the real test of our surrender, the real test of our consciousness is seen at that time. When there are some challenges, difficulties, reversals. So that is meant to purify us from within, and that is also meant to glorify. So that the future generations, when they hear, they see these examples and they learn from it. They don't shy away from taking to this path of devotion. So that brings us to the end of Vamana Dev's pastimes. I don't know how much you understood or how much you succeeded in knowing. But towards the end, 23rd chapter, the last portion, Prabhupada says, if somebody hears the pastimes of Vamana Dev, whichever place it is, whether it is the Sadananda Mandir's temple premises or any other arena or anywhere, that person becomes a deserving candidate in making advancement to go back home, back to Godhead. So all of you have become deserving candidates in going back home, back to Godhead. Shri Shri Radha Damodar ki Jai. Shri Shri Nitai Gauranga ki Jai. Shri Shri Vaman Dev ki Jai. Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. And okay, so any questions you have before I ask you 2-3 questions? Anything from the past time?
I heard Bali Maharaj was also a Vishnu Bhakta.
Yes. Bali Maharaj is actually a devotee, otherwise he would have not done this. He knew the advantage or he knew the position of taking the side of Vishnu, rejecting his own spiritual master. Even though he's getting, there's nothing materially tangible thing that he's getting actually, but still he chose Vishnu over his own spiritual master. It's a very big sacrifice. It's not easy to comprehend what he did actually. Okay, what are the 3 nitis? No, sitting blank. You say one will.
I know the meanings, but
Go for it. But don't feel.
it's like Hoover. So it's something is being bad. You can know whichever is being.
Okay, anybody knows the names?
Names.
Okay, one, okay. Shukraniti, Kanikaniti, Vraspatiniti. Okay, very good. Okay, who's the great grandfather of Bali? Grandfather's father. Okay, how many said Hiranyakashipu? Any other answer, anybody else? Great grandfather. Father of grandfather. Who is his grandfather? Prahlad. So Prahlad's father is Hiranyakashipu. That's the right answer. Who is Hiranyakashipu's son? Who's Prahlad's son? Virochana. And who's Virochana's son? Bali. So you, at least the family dynasty you would remember. Okay. There are many questions. I'm only not able to recollect.
Cleansing by what?
Okay, by what God gets cleansed. Okay, how do you how our senses get cleansed? Austerities is the right answer. Okay. How does the wealth get cleansed? How does material things get cleansed? By offering, using it in Krishna's service, worshipping. How does the soul get cleansed? The birth gets cleansed by samskara. How does the soul get cleansed? Atma Vidya. How does the mind gets cleansed? Satisfaction. You've done it. Vamana Deva ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Jai Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna devotees, I have just two announcements before you go for prasadam. Just wait for it.